Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 14th March 2017. The first article is about the recent elections and what influenced the landslide victory of BJP. The art of building majorities, UP and away. So these are the things which we are going to discuss now. So we need to see these articles from the Mandal politics and also growth of caste politics in India and how these identities are weakening today and also the patronage politics, how they are changing. So let me put it this way. So the Mandal commission is all about OBC reservations. So initially, when Jaiprakash Narayan movement was at its peaks, in Bihar, for the first time, reservations to OBCs were given. And in 1977, when Janata government came to power at the center, Mandal Commission was appointed. And during VP Singh era, the Mandal Commission report has come into open, and the identities of OBC politics and also Dalit politics have got strengthened then. So if you talk about OBC, a mix of different castes, it has formed one solidarity or one single group because of Mandal politics. So on this base, RJD in Bihar and Samajwadi Party in UP has made its strength. Now slowly this solidarity is weakening. And second, the patronage politics are seeing a new phase. Now if you see in Maharashtra, the cooperative societies, the control and hold on them belonged to NCP headed by Sharad Pawar. Slowly, the new BJP regime is trying to reform these old institutions so that old patronage networks are going to break. So it means in UP elections, it tried to break the old patronage networks based on OBC and Dalit solidarity. So what it did is this. So the SP was reduced to a party of Yadava identity, a BSP to its leader's identity. So that's why it was able to consolidate the other caste groups among the OBCs and among the Dalits. And it has tactically given the tickets to the other caste groups over here. And the second thing is, we need to see it from the limitations of the first past the post system. So these parties, these are consolidating their vote banks on a belief that getting around 29 to 30% of the votes will give a landslide or a very good reasonable victory with 200 to 300 seats in between in UP. So the first past the post system has minimized their calculations to confine the voter base of 30%. So that's why this social engineering has come into existence. BSP has spoken previously about Dalit and upper caste social engineering, Dalit Brahmin social engineering, and then Adava, OBC and Muslim social engineering. So their eyes are on getting that 30%. So now BJP was able to raise this bar around 40%. So the vote percentage of the SP Congress alliance did not change, but the seat share has dramatically decreased. It is due to the raise of the bar required to win the elections in the first past the post system. And along with this, the developmental plank and strong leadership signs, a decisive making government, a stable government, the proposed by the BJP has got appeal to the people. So finally, this thing will be this. So the BJP shall not conclude that this particular victory is about denominational politics based on caste and religion. It is a victory for development that will make new India to come up in soon. And second thing is end of a chapter in Korea. So if you take Korea, so it is an authoritative democracy when it has been described. Most of the Southeast Asian countries are like this. It is a reason for their development. So the reason for this in Korea was Park Chung-hee. He was the father of Park Hyun-gai. So he is also called as the modernizer of modernizer of Korea. So Park Geun-hye, she was unable to manage the power. Getting to the power is easy, but managing the power is the most difficult. So what makes the visionaries and leaders separate from each other is not getting to the power, their ability to manage the power. So the Park Geun-hye whimsical fancies, corruption, and our association with chaebols. The chaebols means Samsung, LG, Hyundai. These are the large business conglomerates which are mostly family owned businesses. So these chaebols and politics are intervened in Korea. So that's why these people always placed them outside the rule of law, outside the justice system. So that's why arresting a Samsung heir has become such a big news in South Korea. Impeachment of the president has become such a big news in South Korea. It was not imagined in South Korean democracy. The recklessness of Park Geun-hye is clearly visible when she allowed for deposit or deployment of THAAD missiles. The THAAD missiles are American missiles, high altitude area defense missiles these are. So China has made objections to it. China has reduced its trade relations and blocked the imports from Korea. And China is the largest trade partner for Korea. And Russia also has its objections to it. So this deployment of the THAAD missiles in Korea has worsened the relations of South Korea with North Korea, and provocation from the North Korea has increased. So above all, the impeachment of the South Korean president clearly shows that the democracy is deepening in South Korea. The major reason for this is intergenerational change that is happening around. Now there are also news that is for a bold foreign policy. So let's understand. Global social and economic order, political and economic order, these are changing. So let me put it this way. On the economic front, the 25% of the global productivity is going to come from digital economy. On the politics front, US has played on containment policy. It also played upon building the alliances and bases across the world, and its presence across the world and its military might has converted the multipolar world into a unipolar world, or to be precise, a bipolar to unipolar. Now, China's emergence is posing new challenges. Now, China is also building the naval bases in Horn of Africa, Djibouti, and then in Pakistan, the Gwadar port. But however, it did not made it clear that is the Gwadar port converted into a naval base or not yet. And the second thing is the trade is getting primacy. The US president is talking more about the trade rather than climate change, rather than investments, etc. And finally, India is need to change its foreign policy in the light of changing global financial and institutional architecture. Previously, UN, World Bank, and IMF, these are the helm of affairs. Now, the President of United States of America, he himself referring the UN as a chatterbox or else a discussion club, not more than that. So, World Bank and IMF, they are giving space for AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and New Development Bank of the BRICS. And more developmental finance is expected to flow through these. So, in this context, India shall broaden its trade reach. So, India's information technology trade is mostly bound with the United States of America. So, diversification of the trade is a major challenge for India. And today, warfare is changing, and more warfare is about destabilizing the existing cyber infrastructure. So we have to work for much stronger cyber security in the country. And we need to replace ourselves in the changing financial architecture and shall actively participate in AIIB and NDB. And with regard to One Belt, One Road initiative, it is bringing a new Asian century, and India shall not move away from that. It shall join with its own reservations in the One Belt, One Road initiative. That is what the article talks about. So, MFIs understand the rural customers. So the microfinance institutions played a critical role in financial inclusion. So their strengths are, so they are able to understand rural credit cycle. What are the sowing seasons, when the rural farmer need the credit, and when he can repay it back. They know this rural credit cycle. They can understand the rural customer better than the others. And second biggest advantage for them is flexibility. They are not under the regulatory framework as like the universal banks. not as like the cooperative or regional rural banks. So that's why with minimal regulation and maximum flexibility, so they can be better agents of financial inclusion as they can suit their products to the needs of the customer, to the diversity, etc. And finally, technology adaptability is high among the small finance banks which are being nothing but conversion of MFIs. Out of 10 small finance banks promised, 8 are being given to MFIs. So technological adaptability, understanding of the customer and flexibility, these are placing the microfinance institutions as the primary agents for financial inclusion on rural side today. So that is what is the importance of this interview. So, and then coming to the world. So here understand, the China is increasing its marine force. The marine corps are being increased fivefold to protect its naval bases at Djibouti and also the Gwadar port which it is building in Pakistan. And then Scotland seeks to exit UK. So here say one important thing. So in the Brexit referendum, Scotland has favored to remain in European Union. On the other hand, the remaining of the UK and Wales, it has asked to exit from the European Union. And second, in the last referendum on the position of the Scotland when David Cameron was the Prime Minister, the vote was no. So the Scotland Nationalist Party has brought this issue again in the light of the Brexit discussion. So the main political parties in Britain, they are opposing to any referendum on Scotland. What they say is the division of the Britain is not in the interests of anyone. Either it is not in the interests of Scotland or not in the interests of the UK as a whole. Pak should be declared as state sponsor of terror. Now let us see one important observation. So last year to this year, the US funds flowing to Pakistan have remarkably come down to $3+ billion to less than $1 billion in the form of aid. So it has been proposed in the Senate that Pakistan shall be declared as a terror state. It means that the further flow of the finances and aid will decrease to Pakistan. So United States and UK have already declared Pakistan as a victim of terrorism rather than as a sponsor of terrorism. So to what extent Donald Trump will change his view, we need to observe over here. And then I gave you the notes over here. As many of the students were talking about slowness of LAEX website, we are working on that. Within the next 2 days you can find a solution. So laex.in/civils-prep, that's where you get these notes. And also for the magazine, we are making a small page where you can write your answers, and the teachers and selected students of our institute will be correcting those answers. We don't want to be corrected by other students. We want them to be properly structured. Soon we will be starting that program for you. Thank you very much. All the best.